I made this dress quite some time ago, and over Christmas I've put on a bit of weight, plus I've got a crush fracture in my spine, so I haven't been able to walk a lot, and of course this has got tighter. So what I thought I would do, because I don't have any extra fabric to put in panels, what I thought I would do is just lift it here and put a seam under the bust by about that much. And I might use a little bit of the fabric to put a little section in at the side because it's a little bit tight on the bust. So all I'm doing is folding it over under my bust by the amount that I think it needs. I can't do the back, but that doesn't really matter because it'll be the same as the front. So I'm just folding that up to there. So now you can see that what that does is it loosens it, and all of a sudden it doesn't look so tight. So if you've got a dress like this, it's a really simple, quick thing to do. It's just to take a little section out of there and put a seam all the way around. I do apologise for the noise in the background, but we're having a heat wave and I've got the air conditioner on. So the measurements that you want to write down when you're doing something like this is from the underarm to the pin, from the pin to the fold, and then the centre down to here, just to make sure that you get that across the position that it was pinned. You saw how I pinned it on myself. So if we measure from there to there, we'll work on 5.5 inches. For those of you metric, it's 14 centimetres. So what I'm going to do is draw an armhole. This is my side seam. Put an arrow and I'll go 5.5 inches. And then the amount that I've folded over is 1.5 inches or 4 centimetres. So that's my fold, which equals 1.5, which equals 3 inches because it's folded over. And then the next one that we want is, this is just roughly because this is not a super duper garment. Let's go with 10 inches. So this is the front, down 10 inches, and it should be roughly pinned the same, which it is. It's 1.5, and just checking on this side, it should be exactly the same. So I'll knock that out, and there we go, that's 5.5. So now what we'll do is take our pins out and we'll turn it inside out. So now what I'm going to do is measure down 5.5 inches, which is there, and then I'm going to go down another 3. So that's how much I'm taking out. Now I want a seam allowance on that, and I want a seam allowance on that. So that's our 5.5 inches. You can go down for your seam allowance, and when I've come down 3, which is there, I've then got to go up for my seam allowance. And then do the same on this side. So it's down 5.5 plus your seam allowance, and then another 3, and up for the seam allowance. And then we want to go in the centre, we said 10, so 10 plus seam allowance, 3 plus seam allowance. So you can see that it's kind of got a bit of a curve in it. And I'll take that around to the other side. So just to make sure that I get that right, what I'll do is just pop a pin in there, a pin in there. I'm not going to worry about the centre. This is because of my bust. Whereas my back is reasonably straight. So we'll go over here, and now what I'll do is just, so that's the top, there, down. This one I did the bottom. So this one I actually put the fin in the wrong place, it's supposed to be there. And just draw a line across there, and a line across there, and then out, and there. And there we have it. So we'll do the same here. Draw a line. This is going to be a cut line. Going to cut that section out. And cut this section out here. So now I'll just cut that out. And this one. And just so we don't get the front and back mixed up, we'll just pin that to there for the time being. Turn it over. Okay, so that was pretty simple, wasn't it? So now we'll just pin that together, and I'm going to ease the front and back in. If I need to do a gathering stitch I will, but because it's stretch, I've got a feeling I should be able to just ease it in. Now the only thing that I want to do is, I don't want to go straight across there. I don't like that. I'd rather have the front and the back joined and then run it down the side seams. It looks more professional that way. So now all I have to do is stitch that, overlock it, join the seams, and it's done, and hopefully then it will fit me. Now what I want to do is just add a little bit of elastic to the front. So this is the front, and I'm not worrying about that side section. I want to zigzag it on. So you don't want a really wide length. I'm putting it on 4.5 and 2 for the zigzag. I'll just put that on there like that. And this is just so that it'll gather it just a little bit under my bust. I'll just reduce that a little bit. Okay, now all I'm going to do is give that a pull. Stitch it on. Give it a pull. Stitch it. And see how that's giving a slight gather? Because now that it's under the bust, you know, you want it to sit under the bust, and just by giving that slight gather, it also hides your stomach. Well, a little bit. So like I said, you don't have to measure it, just give it a bit of a tug. You can see that's got a reasonable gather on it. That'll do. Cut it off. Now you can see there, that's got a bit of a gather. If I turn it inside out, so now you can see that that's got a slight gather to it. And now I'll put it on and show you what it looks like. Ta-da! So it's not so tight here anymore. Remember before, I'll show you a before photo where it was really tight there. So I took 3 inches out of here. Now it did make it shorter, but I'm okay with that length. If I wanted to, I could probably add that piece to the bottom, but I'm not going to worry about that. And if I wanted to, I could put a band around here or something like that, or wear a belt, whatever. But now I'll wear it. It's more sort of a wearing around the house kind of dress, but if I wanted to nick down to the shops, then, you know, it's still presentable and I don't look like it's too small for me.